open source ecology, the global village construction set, and why do you think it's relevant to the world? We were talking about Africa versus bringing production back to America and other topics like that.
Well, I think in many ways it strips away a lot that produced goods have been encumbered with over the past, who knows, 50, 60 years, where, if you are looking for a tractor or a machine that will, conduct a basic function, it has all these attributes that might not be that necessary. And when you look at a country like America where manufacturing has been de-emphasized, I think having something as central as open source ecology almost like as a kernel of what manufacturing could become again is essentially, even from a perspective of how Americans see themselves and see what they could consider important. What struck me about it was its earnestness, not just in terms of the simplicity, and I'm not saying it's simple and that makes it earnest, but the fact that it speaks to something that many thought this country being the United States, had passed by. And anyone who has looked at how, for example, high-value jobs have left America, and how a number of individuals have made the argument that the future of the country resides in services where nothing is made, which I sincerely disbelieve. Something like open source technology, in many ways, and projects like it, provide a substrate from where new thinking, or let's say recovered thinking about manufacturing, could sprout from. And it's central to everything else. The fact that machinery, be it what you need from a furnace standpoint to what you need from a cutting and boring standpoint to actual machines themselves on the farm, having people see this as something that they can take pride in, that they can build out of, and not see it as something that has passed them by, I think is essential if the country itself is to look at the idea of what I've personally called a culture of production.
Yeah.
If the country is to recover that, they need to recover this sense that we need to produce things, and it's not just software. And I don't see these things as mutually exclusive. I see them as tightly integrated. If you're building a robot, the robot needs control mechanisms. If you are building anything, it needs control mechanisms. But if you think you can outsource the atoms and just be left with the bits, you end up actually not having anything. So I think the fundamental nature of what you and others in your organization is doing speaks to something that I think is essential if the United States is to re-examine from a cultural standpoint and sociological standpoint the importance of the made thing. And then if we extrapolate and look at how this could affect the developing world, particularly parts of the developing world where manufacturing didn't catch on, I think the potential ramifications are even greater. Because what we have in many societies within Africa, where I have quite an interest, is this fallacy that they can leapfrog the ability to make things. But, as much as I'm techie like the next person, I doubt you can employ millions of people or raise them out of poverty if they're all coding apps. You need to make things, you need to process food, you need to do things that are quote-unquote meaningful, where you're actually constructing and you're fabricating. And I think open source ecology could provide a roadmap for a number of these needs in a manner that is not esoteric, that is very simple but substantive. And I think there's real fertile ground across the continent of Africa for an initiative such as this. So in many ways, it's a very unique project, a project that actually I believe is of real value in a number of varying environments that is of actual substance. And
Yep.
those are some of my thoughts around.
Yeah. How do you think that the TED Fellowship is going to help our work? What can we look for?
Well, I think, firstly, it provides a platform for others who might not have heard about it to find out what it's speaking to. TED consists of individuals who are generally very curious about everything and are looking for where new ground is being plowed. And individuals like that, I believe, will have a number of them anyway will react to open source ecology the way I did, which is this is interesting, it's refreshing, it's new, it has the potential to be world changing, it's unique, and it speaks to something that is very central to how society views itself. So I think that actually is one of the key areas I feel TED will have an impact.
What about collaborations, potential collaborations with the fellows or with other projects?
I think that's a natural. Those will happen simply because when you look at the fellows and other people who are TEDsters, they generally tend to be almost collaborative in nature. It's something that is part of their ethos. I'm not saying that every single person will collaborate with everyone else on everything, but where there's an interest, they will gravitate towards actually working with open source ecology. The extent to which they will do that, I can't predict. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think it's just a natural next stage.
What's the hubbub about a platform for TED Fellows collaborating? I saw Cesar was working on that. Have you seen that?
Yes, well, one of the things that we feel we see as a unique attribute of the fellowship community is their ability to self-organize and work on projects together. The platform that I believe you're referring to speaks to building something, an application that will facilitate or bring efficiencies to the ability to interact and collaborate more efficiently. And we've already seen that happen. There are projects and initiatives that fellows have worked on individually and in partnership with each other that are testimony to the spirit that we foster, which is one of feeding off each other's resources where there's a need.
Yep. As far as let's see, what else to say? Maybe summarize the thing. So what I heard you say was that you were one of the few people that understand that this is not about taking this to Africa as the number one thing, but recreating local production wherever we are. So what's your comment on that?
Yeah, well, I don't see this. I see open source ecology as geography agnostic. It's not something specific to any space because that area happens to be impoverished or have lower incomes or be less capable. I see it as a series of empowering tools and processes that can allow anyone anywhere, be them in Mid-America or South America or in rural Europe or Asia. It's an enabler, enabler that allows people to generally bootstrap themselves in a manner that has not generally been the case. But what makes it particularly attractive is the fact that it is an enabler that has built a roadmap that sort of constructs these fundamental foundations. So you're literally pulling yourself up, if I understand it correctly, with